Hey guys, welcome to the Canada Puck Podcast, your weekly recap of what's going on in the world of sports, specifically hockey, and even more specifically, Canada. I'm your co-host, Mick. You can find me on Twitter at ProfitMick, and I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host,
Grant, on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. It's been a hell of a Saturday morning, I'll say that much. Life's a little too real for old Grant White today.
Oh, yeah, I had to help an escaped dog, a lady catch an escaped dog in the park this morning. I've had an adventure.
Did the dog deserve our love and respect, or were
yeah.
you just doing this to be a good person?
No, it was like a very sweet, cute puppy, and it was just obviously way too excited, and she got free and then was just running in circles. So I was trying to use my dog as lure to keep it close.
Is that the equivalent of there was an inappropriate whore analogy I was going to use, but I didn't want to compare your dog to a whore.
So when I keep my whores and I walk around with them, and other whores are like, "Oh, hey, look, what's going on? Oh, that's a nice. Okay, we can be friends."
Well,
not the best analogy.
Yeah, and I don't even know. I feel a little guilty calling a dog a whore, to be honest. I don't want to hurt a dog's feelings. You know what I mean? It's a perfectly reasonable dog.
Yeah, some dogs deserve it though. Flaunting it all the place, man.
Dog was asking for it.
All right. Woo! That was a different place than I thought the start of this show was going. I actually didn't know where it was going. It was your first show. We don't just talk about hoary dogs. Maybe later. We talk about headlines. We catch up kind of the week that was. Talk about the Saturday night that's going to be. Some fantasy advice, gambling advice. Look at boobs. What more could you ask for?
I don't know. If that's a rhetorical question, I hope it's a rhetorical question because I don't have the answer.
Yeah, kind of. Sort of. I'm not sure what rhetorical means. I might stand that. Anything else? You want to just jump right into headlines? Get this going?
You know, it's we're 2 weeks ahead of All-Star weekend. That's the only thing that I was maybe bubbling to the surface. It's always kind of I don't want to say a low point in the season, but it's definitely a rut. I'm I don't look forward to the NHL All-Star game. I saw the jerseys released this week. Kind of tickles the fancy. Do you see them?
Yes, they are pictured right here on screen, actually. No, no, no. Ooh. Look.
So throwback to was that late 90s, early aughts, something like that?
It's apparently the 94 South Florida game from February 4th or something.
94 already? Man, that feels way too long. But, you know what? You know how I have this time stamped in my head? McDonald's was doing a Muppets Players crossover for that time. You remember that?
I do. The animal goalie. I love that animal goalie.
Yeah, Fozzie Bear was on defense. I remember that very clearly, but I could have swore that it was longer, or doesn't feel like it was all those years ago.
Yeah,
time is a flat circle.
There you go. Yeah, they're all right. Myself, I realized my kind of gimmick that I don't talk about is I wear a different jersey every single show. So I have a closet full of jerseys. I don't really care for jerseys. I don't know what happened.
I like, there's a very maybe ironic jersey that I can respect, and you got a hell of a collection to not really like them, but I do like the ironic jerseys, and kudos to you for having this thick collection but hating wearing them.
Oh, I like wearing them. I just don't care for the styles of them, right? There's a couple I like and enjoy, and then obviously there's the ironic throwbacks and stuff like that, or, but for the most part, I don't put a lot of thought or credence into style, design. It's not a talking point, at least in my mind. Right?
Definitely not in hockey for me, but there are some certain baseball jerseys that get me going.
Okay.
But I get it. I will say Adidas did a good job with their alternates or throwback retros, whatever they're calling them. They did a good job with some of those this year. I will say that much. It's not very often I get excited over the sight of a jersey either, but I think Adidas has pointed the NHL in the right direction to get a little bit more engagement with jerseys. Because otherwise it's just been, the biggest accomplishment over the last 30 years was they went from like lights were home and now darks are home, and everybody was like, "Oh my god, you could never do that. How's the NHL going to get away with this?" They're the same jerseys, you just wore them in different places. People were upset about it, so
yeah, that's sure. Why not? There you go. Okay, so with that, headlines. I'm going to scroll through that. I don't feel like there was nothing else that jumped off the page. There were some things with the team, but we can talk about them. Yeah, that's kind of it. So scroll to the bottom of the list. Bottom 5. Hey, there's no Canadian teams. Wow. Good job, everyone. Oh, look, there's a Canadian team at 6, the Vancouver Canucks. Speaking of the only team I know news stories about this week, what happened to Vancouver this week?
Well, I think it's maybe more about what didn't happen, and that is they didn't fire head coach Bruce Boudreau, which appears to be the most shocking storyline over the past week in Vancouver. I had faith in them last night. I was like, Vancouver should come out on top. They've been playing well. Colorado's in the middle of a road trip. Cale Makar's not healthy. I wasn't sure if he was going to play. I was like, this potentially sets up as a good spot for the Canucks. I was so happy until like moments before puck drop, I saw that they weren't starting Spencer Martin. It was that Chris D'Elia character instead. I was like, well, fuck. You got to at least start your third string goaltender against the Avs. You can't defer to your fourth string goaltender. Obviously, that I'm not going to say that's what sunk them, but I mean, this team not in a good spot.
Yeah, no, rough spot. There was a Boudreau chant in the game last night. I saw a video of that on Twitter this morning. I know he was pretty emotional when he was asked about kind of his future. Right, he's kind of not sure if he's got a job. Right, apparently means a lot to this organization in this short tenure. Like we could probably do the doodle back to about a year ago. Right, like I think he's only been with this organization since December of 2021. Right, so just over 13 months. But apparently he's left a little bit of an impact, and they suck. Like it's definitely not Bruce Boudreau's fault when you don't give them dogs in a fight and you just put a bunch of whores out there. Like, what do you expect? Like, of course you're not going to win this dog fight. So it's I don't know if it's his fault necessarily. And at this point in the season, I don't understand what getting rid of Boudreau would do. Like, the team sucks. Getting rid of him is not going to make it better. And I don't know if is it going to make it markedly worse that you're not like what is your outcome right now, Vancouver? Like, what are you trying to achieve this season? You're not getting the playoffs. You're not winning the Stanley Cup. So like, I would think like priority wise, like maybe get a really good lottery pick, right? Reload with some talent, right? Seems like a pretty safe strategy. So why not keep Boudreau around?
It does seem a little curious, especially when we get to the end of last season and Vancouver's like a point out of a playoff spot. Boudreau does all this great stuff. We chatted a little bit about it last year. I'm sure you heard me talk about how the Canucks were just regression candidates. And I think that's just a natural occurrence this year. They overachieved with Boudreau. It was inevitable that they come back down to earth. I didn't expect them to crash as hard as they did. But at a certain point, I think Boudreau's a respected person in the league. You just got to move on. Like, if it's just time to move on, stop fucking dragging this. Like, be a man, Jim Rutherford, and, like, fire the head coach. Put in somebody interim till you find the guy that you want. But don't fucking keep doing this. Like, everybody knows that Bruce Boudreau's Dunskies. Like, he's fucking... There's not a chance this man salvages his time in Vancouver. It just feels like they're kind of being dicks about it. I don't know. Maybe there's some handshake agreement in the back room, and we shouldn't even be talking about it. Maybe Boudreau knows that he's only got 2 weeks left, or maybe he knows that at the end of the season he's walking, but he's asked for this. I don't know. Maybe there's something that we don't know. But it just, like, optically, it's just gross, man. Like,
yeah, and I mean, like, the conversation should be, as an organization, management group, you should bring the coach in, you know, I don't know if like GM ownership maybe doesn't need to be involved at this point, but say, like, look, realistically, where are we, right? Like, are the players happy? Like, what's going on? Like, are we hurting morale? And make those decisions, right? And say, like, Bruce, if you think he can stay here, but if he's like, I don't want to be here, right? Like, this is hurting my reputation, I want out, well, let the guy leave. Right, and like I think a good organization would handle things differently. I based on some of the comments we've heard from Quinn Hughes last week, how they don't handle their medical side personally, how they handle their coaching staff, how they handle the personnel. It's probably a shit organization. There's a reason that we used to call their fans apologists. Oh, I guess we still do. We used to skip the Vancouver Canucks a lot in this podcast. I think it's because it's a poorly run organization that sees like glimpses of brilliance and then they kind of crash back down to earth, and we're at one of those down to earth moments. And go fuck yourself, Vancouver.
Big time. I was actually just going to yell at us for talking about them for so long. They don't deserve this type of respect.
Now, in all fairness, they have kind of the most exciting. Like, is Bo Horvat moving, right? Like, they had the JT Miller saga last year. They have the Bo Horvat saga. They have talking points. So you kind of do have to spend time on them, but they're bottom of the barrel. I don't know what do you want, right? Like,
I've got the perfect analogy. They are the real housewives of the NHL, where there's just so much drama you can't help but look. But like, you're a shitty person for paying attention. Yeah,
you could be watching a documentary on some like war across the world that you don't even know about. You could be learning and like becoming a smarter person, but instead you're watching Desperate Housewives. Shame on you. Just like shame on the Vancouver Canucks, who are 26th from the top. So that's not very good. Unless there's... No, that's never very good. Unless there's like 10 billion teams, and then good job. But like, there's not.
No, there's a finite amount. In fact, 32. And, I mean, this is 5 minutes that our listeners probably didn't even care about. I don't think that there's one person on the Vancouver Canucks apologist list who'd be like, man, I want to hear another person's perspective on how shitty my team is. Everybody's talking about how shitty this team is.
Wait, did I say... Oh, sorry, I scrolled my screen up and I meant the Montreal Canadiens. Did I say Vancouver Canucks again?
Oh, yeah, you did.
Okay, all right.
I thought we were continuing the shitty parade.
No. Well, we are. We're just moving across the country, and now we're in another with a shitty team. So, Cole Caulfield, he's done for the season. He's got a shoulder injury. The tank begins. Yay, Montreal. Remember when you were like 12th in the standings earlier in the year, and everyone's like, oh, we got it now. Go fuck yourself, Montreal.
Truthfully, this seems a little calculated on the Habs part, and partway through the season, your bottom six in the league, your best chance at moving the franchise forward is getting Connor Bedard. If Cole Caulfield was even expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks, it feels like no matter what the injury was, I guess what I'm trying to say is no matter what the injury was, they're going to hold him out for the rest of the season and just be like, listen, let's put the worst team we possibly can on the ice and see if we can nab that top pick.
Yeah, that's probably the business model right now, Montreal, right? Probably sellers. We were kind of talking about that. They have pieces. I imagine there's an open market. If you called Montreal right now, they would give you a menu, right? Here's all the prices. They're negotiable. Let's get something done. So,
I was just gonna say the exact same thing. Next, like step one, Cole Caulfield, face the franchise. You're done for the season. Step two, rip away all the movable pieces sooner rather than later, and bring your AHL players up to run out the clock. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have a top 3 pick in the lottery. I think the Habs actually own another team's pick from another trade. Maybe I'm incorrect, but anyways. You would think that it would be enough for Montreal to package maybe a top 3 pick plus their other pick plus a prospect to maybe pry away the first overall selection if they aren't the lucky franchise.
They have... Winnipeg? No. They do have a little star. Apparently they're also 10th. So if we can kind of figure out who's the 10th from the bottom, that maybe tells us something. Oh no, what happened? Florida.
They have Florida's pick.
Yeah, because Florida gave up all their draft capital for the next couple of years for last year's playoffs. Those dumb bastards.
I want to see what the trade was. Oh my god.
Jeff Petrie. Didn't they trade a first-round pick for Jeff Petrie last year?
Did they actually? Is that what this is about? My god.
Look, Florida-Montreal pick. And you're going to be like, what the fuck?
Jesus. Well... There's no helping Florida. Thank God we don't have to talk about that.
Oh my god! And they gave up next year's pick too in the Kachuk trade. Like Calgary gets it. I was like, that might be the best piece of that trade. I don't know if Huberdeau's going to pan out. I had that take at one point. I was like, man, that pick. Florida's going to be a bottom 5 team next year. You're getting like the first overall pick for that. You're going to be like, I don't know if Matthew Tkachuk was worth it, guys. Like, maybe you should have just paid Huberdeau. Oh, look, Ottawa Senators, my least favorite franchise of all time. Go fuck yourself, Ottawa. They're at 25th overall. They died last week in my eyes. So, yeah.
What went so poorly? Was it just the bet outcome that didn't roll your?
I gave them an ultimatum. 2 weeks in a row they had lost, and not only did they lose, but they lost like 8-0 to Colorado. They didn't even try. If it's like a 2-1 game, I'm like, they put an effort out there. No, they didn't. They didn't. Brady Tkachuk is now in his 5th season. In his 5th season, Austin Matthews won a Rocket Richard Trophy. The following year, league MVP. In fact, he was also the Art Ross winner and the Rocket Richard. He was a Triple Crown winner. You know what Brady Tkachuk is in his 5th season? He's sucking dick somewhere on the back streets of Ottawa because he fucking sucks at hockey. So congratulations, Ottawa. You're a miserable franchise. You're going to continue to be a miserable franchise. Hopefully Ryan Reynolds buys you and moves you somewhere nice.
Nicer than Ottawa? Are we talking about the Moose Jaw Senators here?
Okay, I was a little peeved last Sunday morning. I wrote a little soliloquy. I had to get it out there. They're kind of terrible. They need some roster work. I don't know. Ottawa need to do anything for you?
I have noticed an uptick in their production recently, and they substantially outplayed the Pens on at home Wednesday night, I think it was. I think 45 shots. They controlled the play, and they still needed overtime to win. And the entire time, I caught the third period in overtime. The entire time I was watching the game, I was like, if this isn't analogous to the Senators season, I don't know what is. Like, this team that was coming in and putting in, like, quality efforts and things just aren't going their way. I think that and so I started to reflect a little bit, and it kind of reminds me of the Winnipeg Jets maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where the team had a lot of young, excited players, but it just wasn't all coming together on the ice. And then basically just the next year, they picked everything up and they were a top team in the Western Conference. Maybe even over we've seen the same transition from this year to last year. And maybe that's what the Ottawa Senators are. Maybe they're a team that, maybe it's bad puck luck, maybe it's shitty bounces, maybe it's a bad system. I don't know. But I know that their outcomes don't reflect the actual product that they're putting forward. And if it doesn't happen this year, Ottawa is a team where big things, eventually we talk about regression. Progression end of the spectrum is the Ottawa Senators. And I think that they're going to get there. Probably not this year, but earmark them for a productive year in 2023-24.
Yeah, I mean, they're a tough spot in the rebuild because they should have taken a step forward. They didn't. Now what do you do, right? This is kind of the big questions is, do you... And like we talked about this last week, right? Like the Debercant of the world. What do you do with that guy? Just do you keep him with the organization? Do you move him for future assets and try somewhere else, right? Do you move try and get a defenseman in to help on the back end? Do you pay for a goal? Like, sky's the limit. And it's tough. It's a tricky part of the franchise, but your trust, the friskiness, my fandom that I had for the last year and a half with Ottawa, I don't care about you anymore. You're dead to me. And I'm just going to move on.
I will say this, and that is when we wrapped up Bettor Advice last week and we both had, a stake in the Senators in some form, I was convinced. It's like, man, I'm going to win my Sports Select ticket and we're going to get Ottawa Senators jersey. And a big part of me was excited for a little bit. And then by the end of it, I was like, maybe it's for the best. Maybe it's for the best we don't have Senators.
And like sometimes when you lose a bet, losing 8-0, you're like, I wasn't even fucking close, right? It feels better than like them losing in overtime because you're like, that was so close, like, I don't know. It's tough to say. Would you rather lose 8-0 or lose in overtime? We're not sure. Let's see. Where's the next game team going to pop up? We're out of the 20s. Oh, there's the Florida Panthers. Just killing it. Woo. I think, Calgary. There we go. Sweet 17. I don't think that's the saying, but that's where they're at in the standings.
Another appropriate underage reference on the Canada Puck podcast. We're slowly inching closer to barely legal. But anyways, not to revisit the barely legal conversation. Flames. I haven't really been paying attention. The one thing that I did see from them this week was Lucic basically saying he's going to go headhunting Johnny Gaudreau. I don't know if you saw that.
Cool.
He said, basically said he was going to target Johnny Gaudreau when they come to town.
Neat. I'm glad he was so well respected in the locker room that he didn't like burn every bridge on his way out. That's how you should leave an organization. It's just be a real piece of shit. So good job, Johnny.
Do you think Johnny was right for going to Columbus, or do you think that maybe he's regretting his decision right now?
I mean, if I didn't have to be in Calgary, would I? Would I want to be closer to my family? Probably, right? Like, and I think that's a fine decision. The way he went about it. What do you want? Like, he was in with the playoffs. They went around. They got they got beat up by the Oilers. He doesn't want to be here. They probably don't want to pay him. They seem like kind of a cheap organization. Like, if we're being realistic, they don't throw cash around, right? The bigger contracts, that's not really what they're kind of known for. So,
and it's not even just contracts, because this team won't even build themselves a new arena. They're ponying until someone else pays for it.
Oh, like it doesn't look great, and it's not something I'd be super proud of. If I was a Calgary Flames, I'd probably be too. I was like, why are you guys being so fucking cheap? Right? These guys are spending, like, building these big, brand new arenas all around the country, and, like, you guys are just being, like, dickheads. And not only that, but my best friend, who I'm guessing him and Kachuk were probably close, is also like, I don't want to fucking be here anymore. This is, like, I'm done with this organization. This is fucking horseshit. We have crusty old towels. We can't even buy new towels over the course of the season. They just get fucking grosser and grosser. Like, what the fuck's going on? Right? So, I mean, collectively, your two best players are like, we're done, we're walking away. What do you do?
There's 4 towels. There's a towel pecking order.
Yeah, like, you know, he's like, they finally got to the top, and he's like, it's not any better up here. Like, the towel is actually worse before everyone else uses it, so.
Yeah, you actually get some of the crust off when you're lower down the list, because, oh man. So the sweet spot in this towel pecking order is you don't want to be dead last. You don't want to be like the Valimakis of the world where you get it dead last. You want to be like, you know, third or fourth, where some of the stank is worn off. You get a little bit of soapy smell, not crusty, but you also don't want it to get like mildewy by the end. And I guess maybe Kachuk and Gaudreau just had enough of it.
Yeah,
and you're right. I don't blame them.
Not in the slightest. Like, at no point do I have any resentment towards Kachuk or Gaudreau for the decision. I was like, you don't want to be here. Like, there's so many terrible stories from this team, similar to, like, the Vancouver we were talking about, how they're kind of a horseshit organization. Like, I don't know if the Flames are that much better, to be perfectly honest with you. Like, when I hear had their dealings and, like, I hear of stories around the city and stuff like that, I'm like, I don't know if it's a world-class organization, right?
That's fair. I could shit on the Flames all day. I will say this, outside of the playoff picture looking in now, I think it's not a matter of them putting together a suboptimal product. I think that there's just teams ahead of them that are, the Oilers, for example, are playing good hockey. Yeah. Kraken, Kings. The Flames might be a better than 500 team, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're a playoff squad.
No, and like I'm not going to call them an easy out, but like I don't know how far they're going in the playoffs. As currently constitutes, they probably have a chance to win around because the West is just absolutely awful versus other teams in the East that happen to be like 10 times better than them, you know?
Sounds like you're leaning Eastern Stanley Cup champion then.
But that is so much better. In fact, we'll play a game. We'll play a game later. Not yet, but we'll put a pin on that. So Calgary, you're leading us to fun. Oh, Colorado at 16. Colorado. I don't know what accent that was. That was interesting. At 13 is the Edmonton Oilers. Won 5 games in a row. There we go.
They got a little momentum going before Evander Kane came back, but Kane being back in the lineup seems to have galvanized the squad. And look no further than Thursday's win against the Lightning, where I think they were up 2-0, going into the third, tied 3-3. The Oilers squads of past would have given up, rolled it in, and just called it quits and just blown the lead and said, fuck it, let's move on to the next game. But the fight on the ice is, analogous to maybe the new mentality of this team where they were dropping the mitts and taking on guys they shouldn't have been taking on, and they really won a game where I was expecting them to lose. Historically, they give up a lead, they lose. That's just the way the Oilers have been, this shaky mentality. And maybe it's a shift in the locker room. Maybe it's Evander Kane. Maybe it's this team just deciding that we're not going to just give up anymore. Whatever it is, it's working, and at least for right now. And if they can maintain this, or not even maintain it throughout the rest of the season, but if this is their standard in the playoffs, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Solid. Yeah, and I mean, getting Kane back is like him and McDavid kind of clicked together last year, right? So I mean, having that physical presence, a little bit more toughness, grit, and just bringing his skill set into that organization is huge, right? What did they sign for? 5.5 or 7? 7?
No, Kane's $5.5 million, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It does make you wonder, though, if there was a system that you could do like transfers in hockey. So Kane gets hurt, he's out an extended period of time. That's a $5.5 million hole in your roster you can't really fill because he has to come back at some point. It'd be interesting if there was some type of transfer system where you could just take someone from, say, Columbus, right? Take one of their $5.5 million player, bring him into your franchise for a couple weeks, pay him to play with you, basically. Like you're paying Columbus basically for that player, fits him to the roster, and then he just kind of go back when Kane returns. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to change your beautiful hockey system, hockey dinosaurs. I will never ever. We can't, because we didn't do that. Gordie Howe didn't do that.
Yeah, $5.125 million is actually what Kane. It seems like a bargain for what they're getting from him.
So when I was saying 7, I was legitimately thinking, I was like, is he worth 7? Yeah, probably. Like to play with McDavid, but that ain't not bad. Where is the Winnipeg Jets? Oh, they're at 7. Lucky 7. All right. So Winnipeg, you lost 2 games this week. 2 in a row. Yeah.
I've been paying attention to the Jets, so this one's yours.
Nothing. I know they played the Leafs and lost to the Leafs this week. Other than that, be honest with you, Winnipeg, I don't pay that much attention to you, even though you're really good.
Maybe I look. The only thing, maybe, and I don't even know if I have this right. I think I was looking at them earlier in the week. I think scheduling's an issue. I think they had like a 3-game road trip, came home for 1, and now they're on another 5-game road trip or something like that. It was effectively like a nine-game stretch in which they played in a different arena for nine games. There was like 3, 1, and then 5, I think, if I've got the right team. Only thing that's coming up on the radar.
Gotcha. Yeah, like it's good. I'm glad that we're clicking, right? Like, lots of skill up front, solid goalie, gets you pretty far in life. And that's kind of what we're seeing in hockey. And as we kind of build up this list, there isn't a perfect team, right? Every team has its flaws, and it's how do you overcome your shortcomings, right? So defensively, you maybe don't have the most skilled set of players in the league. Well, how do you overcome that, right? You can overcome that by having great defensive play from your forwards, right? Playing a very strong system doesn't give up a lot of chances. Having a goalie that kind of stands up for you when you do break down defensively. And we're just seeing with Winnipeg, everyone's kind of sticking together and going from there, right? Like, look at they're right above Seattle, who's 8th right now. I don't think Seattle looks great on paper, right? Like, if you were to draw up a hockey team, you would never put the Seattle Kraken roster together if you were playing that. But guys come together and they play hard, and when they're focused, let's go, Winnipeg. Quick
take. 4 goals over the last 3 games, but they've actually had increased offensive production. So 61 scoring opportunities, 23 high danger opportunities over their past 2 games, and they haven't scored 1 goal at 5-on-5. So look for this team to maybe have some offensive luck moving forward.
All right. So then we got Tampa Bay, got Dallas at 5, New Jersey at 4, Toronto at 3, and then we can scroll right up to the top with the Boston Bruins. Toronto this week, they lost to the Bruins last week in overtime. You take it. And then I think they proceeded to beat Winnipeg and somebody, Philadelphia, something like that. And they got Montreal tonight. So it is what it is. Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little late to the party on this, but I did come across something, and that is Austin Matthews only has a season and a half left on his original contract. Yes. So hypothetically, he could sign an extension as of July 1st of this year. I think the start of the next year is when you can sign your extensions. Yeah. What do you think his salary, like what kind of salary is he going to command, and can the Leafs afford it?
Very much so, right? There are moving pieces, and if they have to go bargain hunting, I mean, you keep Matthews with the organization. I believe he probably looks at McDavid, McKinnon, who just signed, I think, 12.4, right? I think, or 12.6 or something like that. Like he's just like a decimal place, kind of greater than, well, not a whole decimal place, but like 0.1 more than McDavid to be highest player in the league. That's probably what Matthews is looking at. He says, "Look, I've got 2 Rockets. He's like, I got an MVP on my name, right? Like, I make this team arguably better." Yeah, probably goes for that. And for 8, does he want to stay there? As of now, yes. If they are humiliated in the playoffs this year, right? Like, it looks bad. Does he sign an extension? Probably not. Do they get humiliated in the playoffs next year? And does he walk away? Yeah, maybe. Right? Like, there's probably a 50-50 chance of that happening. Now, there's a lot of things that happens. If they win 2 playoff rounds this year, does he come back and sign similar to, like, what McKinnon did? Yeah, probably. And goes from there, right? I don't know if he's asking for the sky. If they do, if he does, yeah, that's what you pay him, right? So, I think he's happy kind of where he's at, and unless something drastic changes, I don't know if you worry too much about it.
The only thing that I could see, so like, I got cap friendly open on my end.
Yeah.
Matthews is done after the end of that year. Tavares and Marner are the year after. Marner's going to get a big pay increase, but the only thing that I could see helping this team is if John Tavares plays for pennies on the dollar. Granted, he'll be like mid-30s by the time his contract expires. He's probably not going to get the $6 million. Maybe he does. I don't know. Yeah. But if he's willing to play for like $4 million, and you basically just take that $7 million difference and put it on Austin Matthews' contract, like, that's probably their saving grace here. And credit to Kyle Dubas, because I'm sure that this is no coincidence that things are structured this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 RFAs, or sorry, they'll have 2, 4, 6, 7 unrestricted free agents coming off the books right around the same time as Matthews, and so I think they're going to have a little bit of flexibility to get him the money that he wants.
I think at this point, if you're John Tavares, you could go somewhere else and make money, and it could come down to that, right? I could definitely see the dollar value that Marner, Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares makes in their next line of deals equals the same amount. So whatever the total is now will be the total in, say, like 4 years or something, right? And you're going to see the discount probably coming from Tavares, right? Marner maybe takes a little bit of a jump. Matthews a little bit up. Nylander probably the greatest amount, and that those ups probably come from Tavares' down, right?
Poor old Michael Bunting. I didn't know this. I didn't know he was playing for less than $1 million in Toronto. Mm-hmm. That's like food stamp worthy almost.
Oh yeah, like he's living in the suburbs. Him and Pop Sow and Matt Bonner are all sharing a car and
living in Bowmanville, and hopping on the TTC into the stadium.
Yeah,
poor fucking Michael Bunting. Oh,
poor guy. The other point was, I kind of alluded to it. The playoff standings is just terrible. That's really my only talking point. If we pull up the wild card, so you can kind of see the standings, Toronto's pretty much like they have been the last 5 years, stuck in second spot, playing the Lightning or the Bruins, right? That's kind of their history in the last couple of years. It's a really shitty setup, and it's unfortunate. Now, the difference between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins as it currently stands is 13 points. So you have to overcome 13 points at the end of the year. Can they do it? Can they get the first overall seed and get out of that kind of that whirlpool they've been stuck in? Play one of the crappy wildcard teams, which will probably be like Tampa Bay anyways. They'll probably fall out, and you'll be like, what the fuck's going on? So 13 points. That is the same difference if we go to the last wildcard spot, which is the Pittsburgh Penguins. We have to look at teams with 40 points. That's the Montreal Canadiens. So the difference between the Leafs and the Bruins for the number 1 seed are the same difference from the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are in the last wild card spot, to the Montreal Canadiens, who we're talking about as a Connor McDavid candidate. So,
that's an interesting comparison. And I don't, truthfully, I hope the Leafs, for the sake of planning a parade and everybody's hopes being squashed, I hope the Leafs come to overcome the Bruins. But that's a fucking steep hill to climb. Not 5 regulation losses. I was looking at the Bruins earlier this week. 5 regulation losses this year, none of which have come on home ice. I can't get over what this team is doing. But I'm also not sold that they are a playoff. They're going to succeed in the playoffs.
No. Oh, yeah. No, like, this is the most paper tiger team I've ever seen. Like, they're going to win the President's Trophy. Great. Awesome. I'm not concerned about like the Bruins at all. Like, this seems like the biggest let the air out of the bubble. They're going to have some epic collapse, and like Sidney Crosby is going to go and like sweep them. You're going to be like, oh, well, that was what the fuck happened, right? And you're like, oh, okay.
I was going to call them a paper tagger too. Weird.
Huh, weird. All right, so there we go. Boston Bruins. That's what we love to talk about. Before we leave, I don't know if this has caused all the bad karma in my life on this show, but we have to make fun of NHL.com's daily fantasy hockey picks. Oh boy, my favorite part of my morning. Last week, how do you think they did? They gave you 4 suggestions. Do you think they gave any good ones?
No, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say we're continuing the segment because of no.
All right, so we got goals. You want a goal? You look at Detroit. You look at Robbie Fabry. Man, he got 0 goals last week. Woo! All right, points. You just want any points. It's the most generic advice. Sprong, Seattle. They scored 8 goals in that game. How many points did he have? He had 1. Do we count that? 0.5?
I'm leaning towards no. Like, if you put up 8 goals, and this is the guy you've touted, I'm going to pull up the box score. How many players have more points than Daniel Sprong?
I don't sure, but power play points, man, you've got to look at Pavel Bushevich. Man, whew, he had a goal, but it wasn't on the power play, so we don't count that. So you actually had 0 NHL.com writers. Dummies.
So there was three Seattle Kraken skaters who didn't record a point. I don't think that they get credit for Daniel Sprong's
one. Absolutely not. I was going to say, they 3 had double. I was like, okay, so that's not terrible. That's terrible. And then shots on goal. Brett Pesk, defenseman for the Carolina Hurricanes. You know how many shots on goal he had?
1.
3. So it's 3 times as many as you were thinking. I don't know if I'd count that.
You know what? For picking a name out of a hat, I would say that they get a W for that one. I would give them a 1 out of 4, and it still feels a little generous.
Anyone. You could pick anyone in the league. Like, this isn't like them being like, because they're good values. Like, if they indicated that, like, based on FanDuel or DraftKings lineup, these are the values we see. Put them in your lineup, and they're like free money. Cool. No, they're telling you, like, go trade, like, go trade for these players. Like, I don't know what you're doing, but, like, you need points, go trade for Daniel Sprong. That's how you win. All right. Tonight, though, you want a goal? San Jose at Columbus. Timo Meier trying to get his way out of San Jose. He's like, man, you know what I hate? Sitting on a beach in January.
Timo Meier.
All right. No, you haven't seen all the fake trades of the Leafs trying to get Timo Meier at the deadline. No,
nope. Sorry, that one went right over my head. I was like, I was trying to pick up the reference, couldn't put it together.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, he's not going to make the playoffs, so Timo Meier's contract's up, so he wants to go chase a cup. Why would you want to leave your beach house, though?
Gotcha. Another rhetorical question I don't have the answer for.
Cool.
Go Timo Meier.
All right, so we want an assist. Oh, boy. Seth Jones for the Chicago Blackhawks at the St. Louis Blues. That's who you want tonight. Let's go Seth Jones.
Seth Jones. Is that even an evening game, or is that an afternoon contest?
I think it's an evening one, yeah. Power play point. Oh, man, we're back to the well. Here we go. Andrei Barkovsky, Seattle, Colorado. Power play point. And finally, shots on goal, Evander Kane Edmonton and Vancouver. I don't hate that one. There you go. Like, pick a good player. Vander Kane. Let's get it going.
I wish that they did have some methodology that they offered on these, because I really can't figure out where all of these picks are coming from.
Like, you can read through the little blurbs if you cared, and you'd be like, I see. You're chasing the last like 3 games. You're looking at the last 3 games and being like, based on that, Burakovsky's got a lot of power play points, and that's an easy stat that like it's a clear trend. Like, it just keeps going up over the season. There's no randomness in that curve whatsoever.
Oh, God bless linear progression. Go NHL.com, go.
Whoop, whoop. All right. NHL.com. Now, grain of salt. Remember that little grain of salt we all have? We're going to move it over here. Let's talk about our own shitty fantasy projections. So I'm not interviewing for the job at NHL.com, because I am also terrible. Or am I interviewing for it? Think about it.
Ooh. How'd you do last week?
I didn't even get 100 points. 99.9 points. Had some errors. Jaden Schwartz put up a big 0. I had him on wing. Jordan Stahl only got me 6 points. Jakub Slavin. And Nico Mikola. Never saw that coming. That guy was going to fail me. I kind of went with studs and duds approach. My studs didn't do anything special. And I did not cash in. However, my goalie actually got points. Elvis Merzlikins, 20 points for the cheapest goalie on the board. It's not horrendous. And I don't think any of my adjustments affected it. I just didn't hit one of the 40-point guys. And I think that's what last week was, if I recall. So if you look at like the top team, I think he had nothing really special. Jonathan Taves got 22 points for this guy. Oliver Borkstrom and Max Domi both had 24 and 23 points. So that was the winner. So
there were some quality performances. I can't remember them off the top of my head. I fared a little better than you. Normally I enter a $1 tournament.
Okay.
But there was issues with FanDuel, so I only entered a stupid 25-cent tournament. I doubled my quarter, though, because I finished 342nd out of 1,916. Ryan Johansson, 28. Michael Bunting, 25. Austin Matthews, 16. Marner, 18. Killorn, 16. Really, my undoing was Matt Murray and Ned, who only had 8 points. Really put all my eggs in that Leafs basket. Yeah. Didn't pay off, but otherwise, yeah. Ty Smith was my low guy. Oh, and Dadonov, they both had 3.2 points, but better than a goose egg, I would say.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. So haven't had a lot of success in the last little bit here on FanDuel. I'm going to try a scattered approach today. That's what I'm going with. See if that works. So I'm like cutting strategies at work, like studs and duds. Nope, doesn't work. Putting McDavid on the lineup. No, that's just not the way to go at this point. So I'm going to try a little bit of a scattered, throw my money everywhere, see what happens.
You want to lead off, or you want me to go first?
I can go first. I will go quickly, and I will be... Yeah, let's go. So, starting off, for some reason, right now, it is confirmed that Ilya Samsonov is playing in net against Montreal tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He is the cheapest goalie, $6,500. I don't know. I feel like I've got a free space. So, that's my goalie, and I'm going to kind of sprinkle it around. Nothing... I kind of stuck around somewhere from like $7,000 to $6,000 was kind of my goal. Alexander Kerfoot plays on the fourth line. He does stuff, though. And once in a while, he does show up on national TV. He always kind of seems like he jumps off the screen a little bit. $4,800. Nick Suzuki. Some goals will be scored in Montreal tonight at $6,600. On wing, we've got Claude Giroux and Alex Iafolo at $6,800 and $6,400, respectively. Erik Karlsson. $7,900. There's another guy who might be interviewing for his way out of San Jose at the moment. Brendan Dillon, $3,800 is my other defensive pairing. Winnipeg against Ottawa. If we're going to see some offensive output coming from Ottawa, maybe picks up a cheap assist. And then, all right, we decided to go with Moritz Seider, Calder Trophy from last year. And he's got a heck of a flow here in his little picture. Detroit, Philadelphia, $5,800. And then Kirby Dach, $5,500. Plays on the front line. I feel like he did something earlier in the year. I don't know if Caulfield not being there is missing, but I kind of have a little bit of a Montreal stack going on. And that was my pick. So nothing jumping off the page, but I'm hoping that collectively, as a group, come together and maybe win me some money.
You had a few people who, Moritz Seider in particular, I had him in my roster, but I couldn't make it work because, anyways, I'm hoping for good things from him. I'm expecting big things from him and hoping for good things for you. I, however, did not learn from your studs and duds approach, and I don't like my roster. I'm going to tweak it. I don't know how I'm going to tweak it, but I splurged. I went McDavid, Draisaitl up front, Nucks on the second night of a back-to-back. They saved their primary goalie. I don't think it's going to offset the defensive shortcomings we've seen from the team recently. So I expected McDavid and Draisaitl to shine. Nashville hosting the Kings. Both teams have been on a bit of an overtrend, so I put Matt Duchene in my roster. And then I've also got Lucas Raymond, Detroit playing Philadelphia. Philadelphia, again, loose defensive standard. Even my defenseman I kind of like. Matthias Ekholm, part of the Nashville stack, plays power play, does power play stuff. He's an affordable $4,500. I think he'll live up to that. Buying low on Eric Brandstrom, Ottawa Senators defenseman. Hasn't been a great year, but we've seen him collect power play points. He's only got 3 apples on the three apples on the season, nothing on special teams yet. But I think he's better than what we're seeing and better than the $3,600 salary that he carries. This is where I kind of start to lose interest a little bit. I got Derek Brassard, he had a goal last time out, and Parker Kelly as part of the Ottawa stack against the Jets. And then Connor Ingram, Arizona Coyotes goalie, in net against the Stars. One of those funny feeling games. However, he's the same price as Samsonov, and I think I'd be foolish not to swap them out if Samsonov's the starter. There's not a ton of wiggle room with the utility spots with my roster. Well, David and Draisaitl up front. What I was thinking, Evander Kane maybe I'd swap out Draisaitl for Evander Kane and fiddle around with my utility spots and change my goaltender. Not married to anything. I think I'm going to do it, but I'm going to have to dig into things a little bit later. But for now, that's who's in my roster.
Yeah, solid. I was playing around and just swapping guys to see kind of what I could do. I don't know if I love Kerfoot more than what's my top option. So if I just swapped Kirby Dach and him, I end up with $5,700. Nino Niederreiter, Braden Shen. There we go. Is he better than Alex Kerfoot? He's playing on the 4th line, maybe. All right, we're gonna do that. We're gonna put Braden Shen over Kerfoot. I didn't need to do all that swapping around. And then I'm also spending that extra like $900 I have. So hopefully that doesn't come back and bite me. But that was my change I made.
All right. You've inspired me. I'm going to look into this now, too. I'm going to get Kane in there because I guarantee you I'm saving money.
Yeah. That's smart.
$3,000. Samsonov's in there. Samsonov. $6,500. Samsonov is cheaper than Connor Ingram for some reason. Connor Ingram was 66 and Samsonov is 65.
I don't understand it. Like, now again, this is something, set a reminder on your phone, check at what is going on. Oh, maybe I should keep, no, you know what, I'll change it for now. Worst case scenario, if Samsonov doesn't go, Kerfoot in, Samsonov will just turn into another goalie. So I think that's how I'll work it.
Oh, hang on. Is this going to work? Nope, it's not going to work. I saw Pierre-Luc Dubois. As much as I believe in Ottawa putting together a strong offensive performance, I think the Jets are probably another team to look at. Let me just goof around here. We don't have to keep people hanging on by a thread, though. We can move on, and as I adjust things up, we can settle things on, because we got plenty more gambling advice before we move on to the boner material.
There you go. All right. So last week I had it set in my mind before we even started the show. I was like putting all my eggs on Boston, no problem. And then I decided to waffle and change. Bettor Advice. We take $100 theoretical dollars every single week. We bet it, and then we keep track of how we're doing. At what point I was up, we were doing okay. When we came back from our break, I was up $300, down to $150. I've lost $150 in the last 2 weeks. Boo. Ottawa or Toronto, Boston went to overtime. I had the Leafs +1. That's a push. That gives me $50 back in my pocket. That's the only good news I have for you people. I didn't lose money on that game. We'd mentioned earlier, Ottawa got... Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right, cool. I've got 4 picks for today, though. Coming back, hitting it hard. I've been on a bit of a schneid. I was doing well for the fall football season. Cleaned up, hit my gambling goals. I'm a happy boy. And then, I don't know, outside of like maybe 2 bets I've won since like New Year's, it's not looking so great. I'm not feeling the most confident when it comes to gambling. So this is me trying to pull the Band-Aid off. I've got 4 picks, doing a little bit of a scattered shot approach. And, see how I'm doing. How'd you do last week?
Not good. My most confident play was the only one that came through, and that was the over in Nashville. Otherwise, I think I went over. Did I have 3 other picks plus a parlay? Anyway, so I ended up losing about $80. Okay. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, not a good start to 2023. Hoping to turn the tides, like you. Not feeling.
Yeah.
I kind of like my plays. You know what? I will say this. I like the plays that I've made, and hopefully it pays off. But, again, back to basics approach, maybe really shooting my shot here with not trying to force the issue, but just not playing gut feelings, but having some sort of advantage. I don't know how to describe what I'm feeling. I've got 3 picks plus a parlay, so I guess you can go first.
Sweet. So I'm going to go with my first pick. They are playing better. We in theory should have been more concerned, and I think it kind of goes to show just how little the world cares about the Colorado Avalanche. They won the Stanley Cup, great, awesome. Then what? Then they just kind of sucked. And you know what? No one talked about it. They're playing better hockey, though. In the last week, they've had a couple blowout games. I realized they lost to Edmonton. Or no, they beat Edmonton in overtime. I think it was last week at some point. Maybe last Saturday? No, something. Anyways, Colorado, they're playing Seattle tonight. Colorado is playing Seattle tonight. It's a pick 'em at this point. I'm going to put $25 at the Colorado Avalanche. Or just, I don't know, a better breed of hockey at this point. Or playing a better breed of hockey. And they're going to win. So let's go Colorado.
Oh, that's a tricky spot. I hope you're right. But I'm going to another Pacific Division team. And I closed it already. I am looking at the... where did it go? Sorry, I'm not a Pacific Division team. I'm going Western Conference, though. I kind of alluded to this earlier. Arizona Coyotes at Dallas Stars. Dallas has looked shitty recently. They have not looked good. They've been outplayed in 4 of their past 7. And it's been an inconsistent effort for really an extended run here. I don't think that they're as good as this betting line implies, and they can't continue to get outplayed and win games. But every once in a while, you just say, how the fuck did this go to overtime? I'm assuming that's kind of the angle I'm coming out with the Arizona Coyotes and Dallas Stars, going to overtime at plus 390, $30 to win 117.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I also have a, let's do, I think we're going to see some goals tonight. I was maybe right that we were going to see goals last week, but I didn't do anything about it. Silly. Well, I kind of tried to bet my FanDuel lineup to show overs. Silly. I'm going to go overs. Montreal, Toronto. Somehow I'm talking about them on all the rest of my picks. I need to get over this weird, strong fascination I have with only looking at Toronto. Maybe that, diversify. Talk about a different hockey team. We're going to go over 6.5 goals in the Montreal Toronto game. First game on Hockey Night in Canada. In the second game, Edmonton, Vancouver, I also think we're seeing over 6.5 goals. Edmonton Oilers offense has been playing better. The Canucks defenses and goalies are falling apart, but they're also frisky. And it's Saturday night. Maybe we see some overs. Parlay those together for $25 to win $78.98.
Dang. Kind of like that play. I'm going to an Eastern Conference matchup. Stupid me, the segue was Central Division. I don't know why my brain didn't compute last time. No segue this time. We're going to the Eastern Conference, though. Detroit hosting the Philadelphia Flyers. Philadelphia is dog shit. Detroit has outplayed their opponents in 3 straight, won only one of those games. Natural progression candidates on their short minus 140 at home. I like them to get things done. Minus 140, $30 to win. Where did you go? $30 to win 21.43.
All right. So I also have Detroit winning, but I also have Toronto winning, but I also have Edmonton winning, but I also have Dallas winning. So I'm going to take a 4-team favorite parlay. I'm sprinkling another $25 on that. The outcome of that was only $78.98. So I'm not. Oh no, sorry, $102. So it's significant. It's a 4-time value. Played out from there. I like the Detroit pick. I thought that one was good. Dallas, they seem. I don't know. I'm not feeling great about that after listening to you. But I'll ride with it. They could win in overtime. We're both happy at that point. And then I think, I don't know, I can't see Edmonton losing to Vancouver at this point. I think Vancouver is like going the wrong way, and it kind of sounds like Montreal's going the wrong way. So let's pick up those pieces. I don't know if you put Caulfield on season-ending injury and beat the Leafs in the same night.
That'd be a fucking bold play.
Or do I?
I was going to say, when you tempt the universe like that, it's going to be a 4-0 Habs win here. But so here's my thought on Habs. I got no skin in the game, but they were riding high. They had, I think, wins in 3 of 4. They were playing good hockey, and then they absolutely pooped themselves against the Panthers. I think you're right to bet against them. I know that you have this apprehension about hopping on the Leafs train. I'm glad you threw it to the wind because I think Montreal is a team that is spiraling like the Canucks. So maybe that was just the final nail in the coffin for the universe to be like, you guys are so wrong about this. But anyways, I think you're on the right track. The only one I'm not so sure of is less confident on is Dallas, but time will tell.
I mean, I'll take the worst part of that bet is Dallas is beating the Arizona Coyotes for a 4-1 bet. Like, I'm taking that all day of the week.
Yep, and that's fair. We'll see how it all plays out. I got last overtime pick. Sorry, last, I guess, straight pick is overtime game. Winnipeg Jets at Ottawa Senators. As mentioned, Jets are in a little bit of a trouble spot scheduling-wise. Lots of travel, not much consistency in environment or rooms or anything like that. Ottawa's playing good, but they also don't have the defensive structure to like rein in the Jets offense, which is, as mentioned, a progression candidates as well. It just feels like this one's inevitably spiraling towards overtime. $30 to win $96 at plus 320. If you parlay all 3 picks together, plus 3,428, $10 to win 342.80.
Sick. All right. Well, speaking of long odds, $25. You know what? I believe that my misery should pay me interest. So I'm going to put $25. Montreal straight up beat Toronto because you're right. They have no chance of winning this game. But I said a couple weeks ago, Montreal, they could lose every game the rest of the season and then beat the Leafs 3 times. And that's just how the universe works. And everyone in Montreal will be like, oh, look how good we are. Because, again, I don't think about you at all. I'm sorry that you think about me so much. It's sad.
Stupid. What a pathetic existence the Habs live. Pathetic.
Terrible. Again, it's going to be 4-0 Habs at one point. You're going to be like, what is going on? Big news on my end. I had a shocked face earlier. I found out that on the Play Alberta site, you can change the odds display. So I've been working on this stupid decimal system. So I'm like, 1.91. I don't know what that means. They have American. I now know that 9.91 means, where is it?
Minus 110.
-110. Yeah. I can talk like a real gambler again. This is amazing. And like everything makes so much more sense. I'm like, oh, I see. The Habs are plus 280. Yeah, that's not that is a long shot. Okay. Huh.
Well, kudos to you. Was it at the bottom of the page, or did they have a setting?
It's kind of like underneath like the league. So if you go like quick links, they have all the things, and it's like odds display, and you can also do fractional if you prefer your like, I guess what is that? Yeah, your 12 to 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. This is life changing. I'm back. Woo!
You made it.
I did.
You made it, guys.
I did.
It took a little while, but we're all back together.
Gambling with a handicap here for the last little while, but yay. Huh.
Well, best of luck to you on your plays. It sounds like we've got some vested interest in similar outcomes and then opposite ends. Obviously, you're insulating some of your parlays and stuff with that Montreal pick, but overall, we can't be this bad forever, I hope.
Yeah, really. If I had 2, like I'm fine. Like if I had any 2 picks, I'm up. So I think I can go 500 with my picks. I feel confident on that. So that's what I'm going for. Obviously, I can't go perfect because they're contradictory. So.
Yep, that's all right. You got enough. You've like I said, insulated your bets so that if something does go wrong, hopefully you're okay.
Sick. All right. So, guys, you have a busy weekend. We've got 4 football games. We've got we've got hockey. Basketball. I don't think anything's going on in basketball, so you have to pay attention. The Australian Open is on right now, which is phenomenal timing. Because you know what is happening in sports right now? Nothing. The last couple of nights have been, like, barren. And I'll go to put on something, and I'm like, there's nothing. I guess U.S. Open wins. Perfect.
Australian Open, yeah.
Australian Open.
I've been kind of getting into it, too. I watched Andy Murray in a 5-set marathon 3 days ago. Mm-hmm. Denis Shapovalov yesterday lost in a 5-setter. Pretty entertaining tennis, I would say.
It's great, and it's just kind of this big blank dead spot in the sports calendar. So,
yep. You alluded to it. You mentioned it. Football games. Who's going into which teams are meeting in the divisional round? The conference championships.
Somewhere I lost my edge a little bit, and I don't know if it's just because I've been like beaten up or something, or maybe I feel like I've been beaten up. I think I'm going chalk. I don't know if I have any upset picks. I think it's going to be we're going to get Chiefs Bills, and we're getting I gotta see Bengals on that one. Yeah, we'll go Chief Bills and Eagles Niners.
I don't think you're wrong for believing Eagles Niners, and that's kind of. It just feels like it's too easy to pick all the favorites. The one thing that I would say the Giants have going for them is they know what to expect. Does that give them an advantage? Maybe to cover the spread? I don't know. I'm with you on the NFC. Kansas City's too good to lose to the Jags, right? Like, They're just too good.
Now, I also could see the Jags covering in that game because we know the Jags literally have nothing to lose. If they're down 27 points, Lawrence is going out and slinging the ball around. He's getting the reps. He's getting the experience. He's going to push that squad. So, like, I wouldn't hate that play whatsoever, but I just don't know if they have... I just don't know if they have it, right? Like, I think we saw the Chargers charger. I know the Chiefs don't charger except for last year against the Bengals, right? So historically, Patrick Mahomes, like the Chiefs are probably winning the Super Bowl this year. So,
yeah, I have this fucking pinching feeling in the back of my neck where it can't be that easy. Like, what? Anyways, I have a liquor pool going, and I ended up taking the Niners. So I got Niners for a whole shitload of liquor.
Nice.
Hoping that pans out. I can't really get a feel on this. I think, like, Bills versus Bengals, you think that's natural revenge spot for the Bills. Like, they're going to have to beat the Bengals, won't they?
Like, they played the game that didn't happen, the DeMar Hamlin situation. Now we get the same matchup. A couple weeks later, DeMar Hamlin's in the building. The emotions of what's going on. We saw the Bills essentially almost lose to Skylar Thompson last week, right? Outside of a very terrible play call on 4th down from the Dolphins. Like, that game's way closer than anyone wants to talk about. But like the Bengals almost lost to Tyler Huntley. So I don't know. Like, that's the other side. Everyone's like, oh, but the Bengals. But I'm like, but Tyler Huntley pushed them to their limits, guys, right? So I don't know. I think it's gonna be a very emotional affair tomorrow, right? And that's the one I could see. I've kind of hedged either way on that one.
You know who the real winners are? Atlanta Falcons fans, because it sounds like they're going to get an AFC Championship game.
Yes. Kyle Pitts is going to be in the crowd. It's going to be so excited. Guys, I can do that. No, you can't. Get out of here, Kyle Pitts.
God damn it, Kyle. Go home.
You suck.
Anyway,
yeah.
It should be an entertaining weekend of sports.
Yeah.
Racing towards the end of the season, NFL season, always mixed emotions. What keeps me sane is baseball's around the corner, but there's just something special about wasting your days watching football and not having a care in the world.
That's it. That's the plan. Get done this, do some chores. Football, and maybe some homework. There you go. Football and homework. What more could you ask for?
There you go. But the Canada Puck Podcast wouldn't be the Canada Puck Podcast without our babe of the week. I am going back to the... Oh, where'd she go? There she is.
A magician? That's pretty exciting. She just drops a sheet and she's gone. You're like, what the fuck?
This is a Dallas Stars ice girl. Her Instagram handle is DSIG _Alicia, ALICIA. That's all we know about her. Her name's Alicia. Official Instagram account of Alicia, 2022-23 Dallas Stars Ice Girl. This lady is talented. She's skilled. She wears outfits. And I would go out on a limb and say that the Dallas Stars might have one of the best ice crews in the league. If you scroll down to the team pick, I don't want to give you any spoilers, but this might be a theme towards the end of the season because this is Bonerville. DSIG Alicia, Dallas Star Ice Girl. She is our babe of the week. Schwing.
Halfway through finals week, hump day, year sick, Dallas Ice Girls. And they're all just like in like wrestling outfits. Like I wouldn't say they're swimsuits, but they're like the outfits that wrestlers girls wear. So like combat attire.
We're really preparing for the worst here.
Mm-hmm. But like, you know what? Rear choke hold? No, not today. Snap more. Huh, great. Yeah, they are a gorgeous group of women. Good job, Dallas. I guess if you like don't become a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, you're like, what's the next best thing? The Mavericks. But if you don't make it there, you know, you could always go and be maybe go to Houston, right? Houston Rockets, the Astros. They need some girls, but like, you know, like eventually. Dallas Stars are number one.
It's a porn industry of the Dallas sports or the Texas sports teams.
San Antonio has a basketball team. You could go there, like the Tri-City.
How many colleges in goddamn Texas? Like,
yeah, but you probably have to go to school. So like you age out of the colleges eventually. So like you're a 23-year-old just like used by the world, abused by the world.
Further evidence. This is the Pornhub equivalent of Ice Girls. This is where you get spit out and chewed up. It's just like you get pooped out the porn industry when you give up. This is the equivalent. Sorry, Dallas Stars Ice Girls. You look like absolutely phenomenal ladies, but
like all tens across the board. But like there is only so many spots to be a Dallas Mavericks dance crew. Sorry,
but I'm happy she ended up where she is because she is our babe of the week, and plenty more where that came from.
Poor girl. She was feeling good about her station in life, and then she's like, "Wait, did I really fall that far down? That sucks." Huh. She has a job. She has to like clean the ice. She's not just there with like pom poms. That'd be like if the girls at halftime are out like fucking mowing the lawns like the Cowboys and stuff, and they're painting. Like they don't do that. Their job is just
painting the numbers.
Yeah, like they're painting the numbers and doing touch ups and stuff, and like
changing batters.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They're up on those scissor lifts going up to the roof, like
two girls with pom poms, one strapped in.
Yeah.
Oh
right.
Man.
See here, poor guys. You have actual jobs. There you go. So we don't have jobs. We just talk about sports and hang out. So good times.
That's it. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, we've got one more week and then All-Star break. I don't know if we're going to take a break, but
probably. Yeah.
We're only weeks away from our Super Bowl prop show. We got lots to look forward to. There's lots of exciting stuff on the calendar.
How does the Super Bowl prop show line up with the NHL Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl, I believe, is so historically, it's Pro Bowl and NHL All-Star Game on the same weekend when there's very little to talk about. And then the following week is when we do our Super Bowl prop show right in advance of the actual game.
Okay.
It'll be the Saturday we record and then Sunday's Super Bowl.
Okay, so one more real show, probably break, Super Bowl prop show. That sounds, cool, awesome.
Yeah, not so bad.
Yeah, nice, sweet. So with that, for now, we say party on, Grant.
Party on, Mick. We'll see everybody next week.